All right, and we want to take you to other news that's coming in today. It's on the war on graft. Remember, KTN has been at the forefront of covering these stories for you, graft diaries, and now the graft countdown with just about 20 odd days to go. What is happening within the CIC what is the CIC saying about what's happening within the EACC? Let's give you a bit of background before we tell you why this statement by the Commission for Implementation of the Commission is of the Constitution is very important. So you remember the events that took place over the last week. The Justice and Legal Affairs Committee in Parliament, after receiving that petition from lawyer George Oriaro, then debated this and made recommendations that the two remaining commissioners, that's Mumu Matemu and Irene Kano, be suspended. They presented that on the table, on the floor of the House. The House then adopted that, and of course the process then went to the President, who put together a 4-member tribunal headed by Justice Jonathan Havelock. I want to quote for you what Manoa Esipisu said after that. He said, "This process," and I quote, "in no way hinders the work of the organization, which remains constitutionally established and operational." Now let's take a look at what the CIC is saying today, because they are completely disagreeing with that. This is what they're saying. The EACC now cannot legally give the DPP any recommendations. And remember, they are in the process now of putting together files. They say they have files against a CS or two, and some of the officials that were named in that list of shame containing 175 people. And Manoa Esipisu, State House spokesman, says that process can continue. Charles Nchai, the CIC chair, says it cannot legally give the DPP any recommendations. Where does that leave the fight against graft is the question we ask. And of course, he also went on to say, and this letter that was written was copied to the CEO, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, that is Halake Wako, who survived that axe in Parliament. The other statement he made that should be up on your screen in a short while said, it is also important to note that no actions are taken by the Secretariat of the Commission purporting to act as the Commission, as the same will be subject to judicial challenge and compromise the ongoing fight against graft. So the question many are asking today, with the CIC and State House being at odds over just how the fight against corruption will continue, where does that leave the war on graft? Is the EACC legally able to continue with the investigations, to make recommendations to the DPP as to who can be prosecuted and who cannot? This is the question we're asking. So on one hand, names are put out and the fight against corruption seems to gain pace when high-profile members of government step aside, and then on the other hand, the body that is tasked with fighting graft and taking these investigations forward from where the President left it in his State of the Nation address is now on its knees. Which way? The question now is, can the Commission function without the commissioners? We'll continue to take a look at this as it develops in coming days.
Definitely an interesting discussion there, and not just interesting to the extent that there are legal lacunas that we're going to be talking about. There was a multi-agency task force that was set up to investigate these cases. So essentially, they received those cases from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. So the question on whether they can proceed is really one that's so up in the air, despite the fact that there are many people who are handling this. No doubt something that we're going to be handling on graft diaries and the graft countdown with respect to what's going on at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. But from controversy at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission,